If I ruled the world, I love 'em, baby.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of If I Ruled the World. I am your host, George Reynolds, with my co-host.
Hey, my name is Sam Hoyas, and I'm here to be George's wingman.
The wingman.
Yeah.
It's an important job.
I think so.
And you're a Selden
Yeah, totally.
original, and I'm a late comer to Selden, Suffolk County, Long Island.
We kind of flip-flopped because I'm close to Lindenhurst.
Oh, look at that.
So I think we, and like I always said, like the parallel between Selden and Lindenhurst. I don't know what it is.
It's true. It feels like my hometown.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a late comer.
Well, I just came from the 7-Eleven, and like I've just never seen uglier people in my life.
Except in Lindenhurst?
Except in Lindenhurst, because there's just something about, like, I don't know, I just walk in there, and then I think to myself, I'm like, I'm probably this ugly too, and I feel good. So
Yep. They're saying the same thing when they look at you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, look at that fat kid in the Halloween shirt.
So I was thinking for the very first episode, it makes sense to sort of explain what the podcast is about, what we've talked about, and where we go from here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Just, I guess, what made you want to do this? I think we've had this conversation forever, and it took us a while to... I feel like we were heading on a collision course to do this together, because we would always talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, how's your thing going? How's your podcast going? It's like, oh, we're up to episode 23.
Right.
So we got to kick you off to episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the common question. A lot of the exchanges you and I have had is about music. For people who don't know us, our background is playing in bands. We're both singers, both lyricists. You still play music. I don't. But a lot of our exchanges are about that. And I always like to talk to you and hear your ideas and vice versa. We're always kind of trading information. And the reason why I wanted to work with you was because it actually sort of reminds me of my whole life, as far back as I can remember, even being a kid or skateboarding or punk rock or even being in a band, an intellectual curiosity to find out what people think and how they think, and not necessarily understand everything they think, but find the gems in those conversations. And that'll move you to maybe reading a book or watching a movie that someone talks about. But as we got older and we got into bands, you have a place to put those gems in your songs, or as being a frontman or whatever. And this, doing a podcast in my mind, is sort of that same thing where you find the gems in conversation, and it reminds me of being in the parking lot of a hardcore show. And that's what this is to me.
Absolutely. Like speaking of like any show, like there are so many times that you're at a show, and all the bands have played and everyone's hanging out somewhere, and you talk to 3 or 4 people for like an hour, and you think to yourself, like, holy shit, man, if 20 or 30 other people could be involved in this conversation or listen to it, I think they would really get a kick out of it for whatever reason. And I think that's what podcasts really are. It's like an invitation for you to listen to your friends or people that you're interested in, or even someone that you don't like, but you like what they say. So it's like this open invitation. It's like, hey, listen, we just had this like, what X amount of time conversation. Check it out if you could pick anything of it. If I mention the first Gorilla Biscuits record and you think to yourself like, holy shit, I haven't heard that record in forever. So I think it's a way to like keep these like things going forever, like whatever you bring up, like whether it be like a movie like One Crazy Summer or just any random thing that you forget about that someone brings up in a podcast and a conversation. And I think it's like a way, it's like a time capsule and a way to keep the things that we love just going and in people's heads.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Especially if you think about our backgrounds and think of, in preparing for doing a podcast, you think about who to interview and different ideas. And I kind of went through all these different records that changed my life, or the lyrics that changed my life, a book somebody, again, in the parking lot of a hardcore show, that conversation where I'm like, that guy, brought up this documentary, I got to go see that, and then putting it into music or just having things change your point of view or even reaffirm it or whatever it is. And it's been a part of my life. And I think that people who aren't in bands, who aren't musicians, might not necessarily think that's what goes on, but it goes on in the practice space. It goes on at the show. It goes on in conversation at studios, and the languages you create with your fellow musicians pushing along this artistic endeavor. So this many years later, even this isn't a musical project, here we are surrounding ourselves with artistic people and pushing an artistic project together through an exchange of ideas.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, we're a band. Right now we're an a cappella band. And occasionally we're gonna have features, and that's what it is.
Right.
We're gonna talk, and then from there, you invite people in the conversation, whoever it may be, and then that's it. Everyone's got their dynamic, and hopefully everyone listening will enjoy these conversations and will want to chime in and continue to listen, and we'll just have fun doing the whole thing, man. I'm looking forward to it. I just listened to the episode that we're gonna, I guess, present in this episode. Fucking sounds awesome. I wish I was a part of that conversation because I would have asked him some I guess more hip hop geared questions. But man, is it fantastic. It's an hour of just a really good conversation that it's so good that I just wish I was there the whole time, because and I think that's what a good podcast is, or a good conversation. When you hear the actual conversation, you just want to be like, oh shit, man, I wish I was there because I really wanted to talk about this, or I wanted to hear it. Like, I love it. So hopefully everyone, actually not hopefully, because if you hit play on this shit, you're going to fucking love it. So
yeah, and let's just clear that up and address that really quickly. As to the future of the podcast, Sam will be on those podcasts. This is just me and Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw, because for the many times I wanted to do a podcast, I went through a few different approaches to it with different people. And then at one point, I was like, I'm just going to do this by myself. And in between that, I interviewed Daryl, and I have that. And it's good enough where we want to put it out. It was edited by our friend Derek Sessions. It came out great. So we're just tagging on this intro. Then we're going to listen to the Daryl Palumbo interview. And then future episodes, we got a list of people to interview, and Sam will be on that with his commentary.
Definitely. Yeah, looking forward to it. And that's about it, man. This is cool. I'm glad that, like I said, I feel like we were on a collision course, because every time we got together, I feel like we were like, I don't know. Like, if we were at a party somewhere, I think we would talk for like an hour straight and everyone would leave. Like, we would be the earliest ones there. And then after, like, everyone would be gone. I'm like, oh shit, we were talking the whole time. So
yeah, my girlfriend would say, oh, your boyfriend was there asking, and I'm sure I'm not the only one you talk to. I agree that we have an open relationship with other people to chat with, but
sometimes I like blonde, sometimes I don't.
Variety is the spice of life. But I have a feeling all of those conversations trained us to have conversations where people won't leave.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm in.
So with that, we invite you to listen to the episode number 1 of If I Ruled the World with Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw. So welcome to the very first podcast with my guest, Daryl Palumbo of Glassjaw, Color Film,
hey,
and a bunch of other bands we'll get into. How you doing, Daryl?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. It's good to see you, my good friend.
It's great to see you. So I remember the last time I saw you. It was just about a year ago. I actually know the date that I saw you because it was my sister's birthday. It was November 15th, 2015. And we were at Beck's house.
That's a long time. I thought it was like 4 months ago.
No, it's almost a year. And We were recording the Glassjaw record. I sang a part on it.
We, as in me and you, were recording it with Justin, yeah.
And you know what? There's two parts to this question, actually, because it's ironic that Justin was having a baby 2 days before, and that's why it took me and him time to get together.
And Maja, and not Maja, Shira it looks like a full human at this point.
Right, but ironically, the reason why it took us time to get together is because you're having a baby.
I am having a baby.
Right, so how far along are we?
I think I'm around 3 months along. Oh, that is crazy. Justin was just having his third child at that point. That is crazy. It's been that long?
Yeah, here's the scenario. So I get up to his house. No one's there. It's me and my friend Paul, and we're like, is this the right house? We're walking around the Beck compound. And then Beck pulls up in the driveway, and Melissa gets out with his 2-day-old baby. So I feel like an asshole.
Oh, my God, I can't believe
But she smiles.
that.
She's like, all right, whatever. Beck walks in, and I'm like, dude, we could do this in a day. He's like, no, we got to get it done. Maybe 20 minutes later, you show up. And then we spent the next 7 hours hanging out, stroking each other's ego.
Oh, that's crucial, obviously.
Which...
I can't be in a room with you and not do that, actually.
How annoying must it have been for poor Justin? It took me 20 minutes to sing my part.
No, he is such a fan. No, I do. I feel like I've learned as a singer to kind of go easy on you because I look up to you so much. I think that maybe Justin can't even go easy, even not as a singer. He was so excited, I think, that we were going to do that it was very real.
But in looking at it through his eyes when he's got his in-laws upstairs, his wife, a 2-day-old baby, and two somewhat drunkish singers not working.
It was us telling him to stop. It was us being like, you have a child and your parents are up there. And he was like, no, we're good. It was us taking notice of that.
Yeah, I think we did notice it. We did mention it, but deep down we were like, so anyway, back into, and then we would get back into our thing. And, at some point, I think I sang for 20 minutes.
And it was freezing. Oh, I don't think I sang much either. And on the record, I think it's pretty much at this point, I think I sound so much like you on purpose that we sound identical.
Well, speaking of the record, where is that record?
I guess the record is probably a few months from actually release date. I mean, there's only so much of a concrete date I can really give, but it's definitely very close to actually coming out. So that was one of the earlier tunes.
Yeah.
I guess at that point, and now it's very much done. It's done. It's fully done. You're as of right. I mean, I don't imagine anything else getting added, but you're the only person besides Justin, myself, and Billy, who was playing drums at that time,
right,
who's in Dillinger Escape Plan, who's
right,
a monster, obviously. But you're the only other person besides us 3 people on that record. Ariel from the 90s, who became a Krishna devotee, he came and played some sort of percussion. So the intro to your song is the only song that has anybody aside from the 3 people who played everything on it, and you and Ariel appear on the same sort of composition.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
I have not heard in a while, and become a devotee, Hare Krishna, is a term I have not heard in a while. But if you grew up in the 90s...
That's a very 90s term,
hardcore,
right?
It would happen every once in a while. You'd lose a friend to a Hare Krishna cult or maybe a rave, something
Which
like
was
that.
the same. It was sort of the same thing.
It was
sort of
a lot of
similar.
extreme people might vacillate in between, straight edge or Hare Krishna, or, they took different paths. But
oh my God, that's funny.
Is there a label? Are you putting it out yourself? I know
we were we were kind of in cahoots with a label. I probably shouldn't even really say the name as of right now, but I guess the label stopped being a label. So we're kind of in our own boat right now, but it feels good. I feel that either the label that we were kind of talking to would be the answer, and if not, I think that probably Justin and I might just move forward putting it out. I think that's probably the best way to do it, either us or this really rad situation that kind of fell through. But yeah, but I'm not bummed. I'm very stoked at where we're at right now. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, watching what you guys have done with the records when there was like This comes out on 8/8. This comes out on 9/9. This comes out on 10/10. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to even really give me a straight answer, because that's just not how you guys roll.
Well, luckily, it's like, oh, well, we can put out a record in 48 hours. Should we do it? Yeah, I might as well put it out. So I imagine there will be really cool ways of putting out individual songs in a fun way, doing creative things like that, arts and crafts projects, we always call it. But there's definitely a full record ready, locked and loaded.
Right.
And it definitely sounds like things that you and I definitely understand, I think. Yeah.
What I heard definitely reminded me of Die 116 and Still Suit. And I only heard a snippet. I didn't even hear the beginning of the song. I just sort of heard the middle. And that was even the way you guys sort of described it to me. You know,
the good days of us feeling really fertile and like all these great things. I mean, I guess in retrospect, it's far less great things than maybe it felt like at the time. But there's like 5 or 6 bands that definitely nail this amazing sort of right time at the right place thing. And I mean, your band is definitely probably the most important in the entire equation. Your band at the time, or your band now, whatever you call it.
Well, thanks, I appreciate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely sounds like those sorts of things. Groovy. It sounds like New York at a very fertile time, I think, definitely. But not New York at a fertile time like television and the Talking Heads. A different time. 25 years later, maybe.
And is it just you and Beck right now, or do you have new players?
I mean, yeah. We have 2 dudes that we play with for the live band, and it's Travis and our buddy Chad. They're monsters, younger dudes. They're just musical monsters, and it sounds great. Justin and I guess Justin, myself, and Billy Reimer, who, like I said, plays in Dillinger, we did the record. I guess the record is the 3 of us, I guess. So, yeah. The guys who are playing live are complete beasts.
Yeah,
Completely.
it's not easy to do, I would imagine.
The older I get, I realize how it's not easy to do, but they're animals. And Billy, who played on the record, is a beast.
Yeah.
And you and Ariel are the only 2 non-Jaw members, I guess.
But boy, we can stretch out a studio time like
we
nobody
can really
else.
stretch it.
It's weird because there's a thing, we were talking about this in the kitchen. It was the moment I was like, wait, can we just please start the podcast, because we gotta flesh this out.
We talked a lot about great things in the kitchen. It's always when we should be hitting record is when the greatest things.
Like this was just like how it was at poor Beck's house. But I wonder, like, there's no shortage of mystery that surrounds Glassjaw. There was, even when there was a hiatus, as soon as you guys are ready to go, everybody, all the people that enjoyed your band, is back in the fold, and there's a mystique, and you guys will play on it. You know, you the way you put out the records, the way you announce the shows, like you could go to a label, you can do anything that you want to do, but yet you and Beck control it. And I'm curious how that works, because when I was at the studio with you, in some level, it seems like Beck is more of like the schedule guy, and you're more of like, I have a wild idea. But one doesn't exist without the other, generally, in business. So, like, is that
Definitely
it, or
doesn't.
did I make that up?
No, that's probably it. That's it. Like we'll have these ideas. Yeah, we don't even mention the whole record until this date, because the date is significant. But maybe that didn't even occur to me yet, and it's like, I guess, yeah, we could play with that. And he is so into the practical joke aspect that he will keep so steadfast with the plot that no matter what, and I'll forget the plot a little bit. I'll maybe just kind of have a bunch of ideas along the way and kind of just be like, that's right. Yeah, we're sticking to this. We're sticking to the story. But he's always so sober. He's so sober and passionate about the story that he reminds me to get back to my Nation of Ulysses, make the crazy conspiracy theory sort of thing. Like, I feel like he loved that at the time too, and he is just so into keeping it. Like, yeah, well, what's the date? Oh yeah, whereas I'm thinking about things and definitely forgetting it at the time. Like, he's so into the practical joke part of it all lining up. I am too. I definitely am too. But
Right.
he's so good at.
But he's the get it done.
Oh yeah,
guy.
he's so
Sort
get it
of,
done. He is
you know,
very.
he
yeah.
implements
Yes.
getting the record done, and
He
dealing with
implements
all
an
the stuff.
agenda. He likes an agenda. I like just thinking. He likes waking up, doing the thinking real quick, and then implementing the agenda. We need that. I need that.
I think most people
It's the opposite of me. I do need that. Yeah.
they don't understand how bands work, and when you talk to Justin,
They don't understand. A lot of people don't understand.
you know, I was impressed. Like when Glassjaw played Best Buy Theater, when we did some stuff with you, and Justin booked it. It's not like booking a VFW hall. He booked it. He paid all the bands. I mean, he's running around. And then there was also everyone left with the CD. There's a lot going on. And there's no, everybody thinks in the terms of like, I got to get a manager, got to get this. I got to get another person I got to pay 10 or 20% to. That does a lot less, and you sort of always in a band feel behind the ball. And Justin's running around doing all of the things. Everyone's drinking after the show. Justin's writing checks to the venue and the bands and all the stuff, and it's very uncommon. It's not what most people understand. But when
he's
you're
a
in a
very
band,
uncommon band personality. I'm not the most common band personality. I have a very particular band personality. There's like this alpha, beta, two creative personalities thing that we have, but I'm very peculiar, I guess. I have an odd sort of thing. I'm not I don't enjoy business per se.
Yeah.
He is very peculiar in terms of his character doesn't typically exist within bands.
No.
So he does enjoy that. And I'm lucky to not have to have a guy who's my oldest friend also
That
be
you trust,
somebody who
delivers.
and absolutely trust. I trust him with my own children if need be. And he to him, I think that's probably 1 degree to the right of guitar playing for Justin. He really does enjoy those things. He's an anomaly. I'm far less of an anomaly in terms of there's more of me in this world than there are of him. He is for a guy who is a creative type, where we're both creative types, the fact that he enjoys the administrative sort of thing is really rare. And I'm lucky. You can waste most of the money you make as an entertainer in your lifetime.
Sure.
By trying to find the sort of the answer to your foil. Yeah. And I don't mean like the Mick Jagger, Keith Richards foil. Right. He's my foil in that. We're each other's foil in that because of by definition, innately, we are each other's foils. But he's a great foil in that he is tirelessly into getting everything right on paper.
And it feels like to me, and I known Justin for a long time, but we don't know each other super duper well. Like I never drank with him. Obviously,
no one's ever drank with him.
But it feels like he enjoys the fact to say fuck you to those managers and fuck you to all those people. I got this. I can do it on my own. There's a slight like, why do you need to pay that other person? I got this.
To take it from you. I mean, we've done it all so long that we did at a certain point realize that you're not getting, a lot of times you're just not getting what you are paying for. I mean, if you're going to give somebody it's a fifth, a fourth, a fifth, a tenth of everything, I mean, the money, the things go up. You get paid better as time goes on, right? You do better, you get paid better. To give a fourth, a fifth, 15%, it's just kind of ignorant. And I don't personally, I don't think like that. I mean, I guess if I was put in the position, I can think like that a little bit, but he's driven to get it right and have him and I treated fairly.
Right.
And I'm very lucky to have a friend that cares about that, where I probably would have just given up altogether and been like, if I'm not treated fairly, I just don't need to do this.
Right.
But he's persistent. He's stubborn and persistent.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have that in what he's got that.
Yeah, I see a left brain, right brain thing going on between you guys, although he's super creative and what he writes and artistically
of course,
is second to none.
Of
but
course.
as he jumps
Of
on the
course.
administrative, and you do a lot
He
more
can,
of
yes,
the,
he's very. I'm pretty spiritual for a non. I'm not very spiritual, but I'm pretty spiritual. I'm a pretty dramatic, emotional sort of guy, and I think maybe I take up that in this band for most of my life. But
Yeah.
he's an emotional dude too, but I think that he's really eager to get those things right.
But your spirituality or what you do translates well to music. You know, Dalai Lama is spiritual. Doesn't mean he's going to
Cool.
write a good record. You know,
I'll
Martin Luther
take
King
that.
was
I'll take
passionate.
that.
Doesn't mean that he's going to make a nice record. So like what you do, what you're interested in, even when I talk with you, when we hang out, I have a video of you like pacing and running around as you're explaining something, and I'm like, he doesn't even know he's doing this. He doesn't even know. It's not an act. It's not. It doesn't even feel inappropriate. It's just a lightning in a bottle thing that has to go to record. It has to go to creative things, and you know that spot. Like there's Glassjaw. It was Head Automatica. Now, color film, which sounds more polished, but as you listen to it, it's not. Like I hear some more in there. I keep hearing, oh, it's just like a dance thing, and I don't hear that. I hear like a little, 80s or whatever, anything anyone says. But is that like something you have to do? Like there has to be this whole other change from Glassjaw, or is it you just don't think?
I guess not. No, I mean, if I never put out a record again, I really think I would be okay. I always hear people. I get jealous. People talk about if I couldn't put out a record, I wouldn't even know who I am. I'd be okay if I couldn't put out anything. But when I sit down, I other things might come out. It's, I guess, what do you listen to? What you're listening to. You want to mimic it. How do I nail it? Of what is, all the changes are the same changes from the verse to the chorus. All right. Well, what am I missing? I want to get it, and I just feel like I just over the years wanted to nail certain stuff. I just grew into liking. I guess I could live if I didn't put it out, but it just feels great to conquer what's the chemical makeup of this? Like when you listen to the Beatles, what's really going on? There's like 10 combinations that kind of make these really amazing Beatles moments, but there's the 10 combinations of chords and changes into this sort of chorus changes always, and then there's the magic part. So how do you break down a little bit of the magic and kind of wrap your head around the magic that not everybody has, and then wrap your head around what are the changes and the chord changes and how do you do it? I think that I get off on that. I love mimicking. If I'm going to make a record that's like sounds like Ride or Oasis, I would want it to sound just like that.
Right.
And I just get off on mimicking. A lot of people hate the mimicking. I'm fueled by mimicry and revenge. Lyrically, I'm fueled by revenge. Musically, I feel like I'm fueled by mimicking. And if I can pull it off, I'll pat myself on the back and I'll listen to the records and I'd call my dad and be like, I figured it out. These are the changes for 9 out of 10 Costello songs. He seems to be doing this on these Magic records. What is he doing? And I'll figure that out. I guess for things like color film or Head Automatica, that was just tons of that.
Yeah.
But I guess at that moment, I was in a position where here's 10 things I made mimicking somebody, and the label wants it. So
Right.
I guess that's that. With Glassjaw, I really do feel there was tons of that too, and I think we spent 20 years trying to mimic guys like you and Hardy and Chris Traynor and not so much Chaka, but maybe just what Chaka kind of, I'm in the room, I'm Chaka,
Yeah.
here's Burn, let's make a thing.
Right.
Those things are, Gavin's hands, Wally's hands, your head and your voice and Artie's hands, and what are these kind of cool dudes doing? These dudes are a little bit older than us. They took really sort of archaic Cro-Magnon, no pun intended, like hardcore, and they turned it into something really romantic, sexy, edgy, psychedelic, squeegee the third eye, and let's get far out at 26 rather than we're 17 and now we sound like Warzone.
Right.
I think that is Glassjaw, and the same way I think that it was Glassjaw trying to mimic stuff too. It's all the same. I guess me and Justin wanted to nail this crazy sort of Rec Age Records, Queens, Woodhaven, Queens meets Long Islanders who travel
Yeah.
into the city. Like, what are 1,000 of us doing in 1994? It was a lot of sounds going on, and I think that we're trying to mimic that. But color film was mimicking. It's all mimicking for me. It definitely is.
And if you need a Glassjaw title, there was Worship and Tribute. You could use Mimic and Revenge.
Oh,
As-
mimic and revenge.
Just,
That's
tuck it
very
in your
good.
hat.
That's very
My
good.
rate for those types of
I'll cut-
suggestions are not.
You get 50. I do
I'll talk to
50%
Beck
without
about
the
the
time.
check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hollywood. Like I said, he's the business guy.
But what's interesting about what you said is, first of all, like your nod to what all the music you grew up on, but there is a way to be derivative to a degree, but make it your own, which I saw.
And Justin likes making it. He likes making
yeah,
it its own. Where I
yeah.
am just like, nah, this is amazing because if we do this will sound like auto manipulation. That sounds like Burn.
But what's
Whereas
funny, I think,
he wants to make it his own. Definitely, he loves that part.
and you actually have a better voice naturally, I think, than most of the bands you're talking about. So maybe that's what I heard. I'm like, this guy can actually do all the things that we were sort of trying to do with the not hitting the note.
Which could be a curse because I always felt that there was a level of overthinking I had. I have a mildly musical family, so I always felt like to not deliver actual musicality is insulting to what I do. But I think at the same time, I think I learned from guys like you where take away some musicality and just concentrate on the other thing. But yeah, you definitely taught me that. Dial back the musicality. Absolutely.
I kind of remember you saying something about Ross telling you that too. Like, don't worry about it. And you and Justin were at the time, a little bit more like, well, this is not right. And he was like,
and trying to be more musical than ever.
Yeah.
Justin and I were like, yeah, this is like,
which was those TVT tapes, the Don Fury
Totally.
building tapes were
which
a
is
lot
super
more
musical.
Yeah.
That was like us being like, all right, well, there's a place where Shift and Still Suit and Mind Over Matter and I guess later sort of groovier Bad Brains and odd sort of these really stacked fifths and this psychedelic-y shit. Like, it all kind of exists. And it was, and Faith No More, too, like this sort of like odd take on R&B, almost like this ironic, sardonic take on R&B with this really dark side to it. And I feel like that we were definitely trying that, but at a certain point, I think that it was probably maybe too much. Yeah, Ross definitely tried to dial back the calculatedness, but I think he was just kind of throwing it in the air, like dial it back. Like, what if it's less calculated and insane, and and I get in your head, and you can't even do the take right, but I hear that you're frustrated in the take, even though you're not what you want to be, and you're just losing it, and everybody's mad, and it's so much intensity.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, it's its own thing, you know? I mean, make everybody nuts, and then you get crazy shit. But
Right.
I think that only at a certain age, way later, did I really... I mean, you listen to like Lizard, you listen to like Jesus Lizard or Mind Over Matter, Auto Manipulation. Those records are like, I don't hear very sober young teen people. I hear dudes dealing with some very real shit, and everybody's not living with their folks, and they're kind of just figuring out life, and there's a lot of shit, and sort of this sort of 90s distress, and a bunch of really hip, creative cats kind of being distressed and maybe drunk and figuring themselves out. I don't really hear 13-year-olds, and I think that hit me way later. That my favorite stuff was, Gavin. I didn't know Gavin when he was 13. Right. When Gavin was 13, well, I mean, what was he in? He was, the fucking door guy at the Ritz? I mean, he looked like a bodybuilder then. I didn't know Gavin then, and I think that hearing all you guys later really informed Justin and I of how to go about it. But it takes a minute to get there. He's a very sober type of guy, and I'm very all over the place. So it took the two of us to put our heads together at 40 to really kind of get it, which is a testament to how amazing what you and Wally and Artie and Gavin, like guys like you, really saw the future. Like, you guys saw this bugged out, psychedelic, Zeppelin-y take on things that we thought was war zone before that. I don't know. It says a lot for you guys to have been in the moment and done it. But it took me until I was 30-something to really be like, oh my fucking God. It was so much easier maybe than I thought. Yeah, I don't know.
I've talked about this a lot. It's sort of a suburban thing. Like when you're from the suburbs and you try and be a New York City hardcore band, it ain't going to work. But if you're spending a lot of time in a garage...
And isn't that why Tommy is fucking beautiful?
Yeah.
Because there was not an ounce of Tommy from Silent Majority,
Yeah.
in case you don't know. There was not an ounce of Tommy where he needed that. No, he was so okay with that. I
Yeah.
thought this morning I was thinking like we're going to get into like these sort of what was the personality of the 5 or 6 frontmen that maybe existed.
Right.
And Tommy is super impressive in that he wasn't very sexy or wasn't progressive, and there wasn't a lot of like this. It was not no pretentiousness. It was very.
He was a storyteller.
That's right, storytelling from the suburbs. New song. What was the song about?
Yeah.
Like getting drafted. Like these were things of he's talking from our height. Like he's
Right.
not talking at us. He's same height as all of us, and he's talking suburban. He's an Irish Catholic dude. I'm an Italian Catholic dude from
Right.
15 minutes west. Like Tommy is remarkable in that he did that and commanded 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
And there's nothing alluring to middle management. Like he was speaking for us. Like
Yeah.
he spoke for middle management, and
Right.
there was nothing sexy, and he would never wear makeup. Tommy wasn't a victim of any fashion trends.
Right.
He was reiterating life. Like, okay, I go to Lindenhurst High School at 8 in the morning. I write graffiti. This dude got drafted. I come home. We make a bunch of jokes. Like, I think that was huge as a balance to you, the sexy guy, Tim, the hard dude
Right.
with a torn up fucking shirt, looks like a junkie. Like, I think that you guys covered the bases, but it's really amazing for Tommy to have gone as far as that persona did, because
Yeah.
it's so down to earth. It's so down to earth.
It's harder than trying to make a record
Oh,
that
my
sounds
God.
like,
Yeah.
you know, as much as we love and respect Sick of It All and Agnostic Front and all of that.
It's a statement. Those dudes were making statements that literally people in Germany, if they
Right.
read those lyrics translated, are moved.
But that's who they are. But we
Yeah,
saw a lot of
right,
Long Island
yeah.
bands trying to be Madball. And that was the difference. We were like, we don't reject those bands. We reject that idea.
We reject the idea of if you're from 5 minutes.
We would
to
hang
the
out in the
left of me.
basement
Yeah.
for hours and
Yeah,
talk.
yeah, there you go.
You know, if you were into a band, someone might play you Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So that's why you would hear certain things, and like that you know, I've done a lot of interviews for Long Island Music. I've done, you know, like a lot of people, Long Island documentaries and or anything like that, and had a billion conversations like this. And it really is a thing. It's like, well, it's hardcore, but it is maybe just staying true to what you think about, what you know, and a little fantasy, a little like, you know, but like to talk about what you are, what's bothering you, or a breakup, which your records are the breakup records.
Yeah, breakup records.
Yeah.
That was always the
Which
the
was,
focus, yeah.
they were incredible, you know, lyrically and intensity, everything matched. But it's kind of hard to do in hardcore in a way because it puts you into like vulnerability. Maybe it doesn't seem so these days, but back then it was. You know, you didn't want to be like an emo band
No,
if you sound like
absolutely.
this, put your lyrics to this.
Neglect. Mine.
Yeah.
There was not. It wasn't. Well, you were far more emotional than most people, but like, no, you don't want to be overly emotional, and that's what I mean. That's I'll never forget the impact that Tommy. There's a way to relate to Tommy. You
100%.
to me at 12, you looked. Yeah, no, sorry. You to me at 12 probably looked like a full-fledged rock star. You looked special. You looked different. Whereas, you know, in retrospect, Tommy obviously looks very special, but it was so relatable. Like he, you know, I mean, those lyrics were relatable. Chatting, he was chatting.
Yeah.
You know, he chatted, and I felt like that in the beginning. That was if I, Tommy from Tommy from Silent Majority, for the record, definitely. If it wasn't for somebody being able to whisper in my ear really down-to-earth suburban things, I would never have had the strength as a introverted guy to get 20 years older and write about feelings. I may have listened to Depeche Mode, but that's real music.
Right.
You can't, I can listen to Dave Gahan in 5th grade. You can't do Dave Gahan in 5th grade. As you get a little bit older, you see Tommy talking about the suburbs. That's huge because he was physically he looked exactly the part. He was perfect. He was perfect. He hit all the notes all the time. And the simplicity with that, those simple, really simple, very catchy, unbelievable, simple lines, once those hit, it was just so heavy for me because I'm singing these fucking things, but I'm also singing things that apply to my town, Long Island Public High School. Tommy's that's a treasure. He's a fucking treasure. I hope he even knows that. I don't even know if he knows that, but that is so big. It's so big in the end.
I'm making a list now. I got to get Justin Beck on the podcast. I got to get Tommy Carrigan. You help me, flesh out a list.
You're
need
the
first
Justin and
podcast.
Tommy. They're crucial.
Separately.
Yes.
They actually
you
work
can't have
together.
them, they'll make jokes the whole time together. You can't do that.
But those live shows too with Tommy was like, all the stories in between the songs, all the jokes and everything, it felt like an unrehearsed moment. And it
was
a lot. Yeah, there's
a lot
of
shy.
There was no, platitudes or just
no.
Everybody's got to move up and all the things we know work. You know what I mean? Let's hear it for the openers. It was. So it was on my way to the show type of stories.
It always starts with that.
Or
It
the
always
person
starts
in the
with, "I'm on
front
the way to
row.
the show."
And that type of thing. And it makes it seem like it's so easy, and it's not. He's born to do it in a way, but it's just it really is like when I look, Silent Majority is the suburban Long Island band.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
They'll never be
it.
anything like that again. That's
yeah.
Such a magic thing. Just a really young little guy from the suburbs who maybe didn't grow up at all yet, Ryan, right? And then Rich, who's just like one of those dudes that everything he says is pretty magic and totally adorable, and he's amazing and loves. He just feels very positive. Rich is a very positive sort of guy. Tommy, who's really positive, but he's like just a little bit older than you might be, and really witty. And
Tommy's younger than me.
Well, older
than you.
Older than
Gotcha.
me. Yeah. Oh no, yeah. Him just being a little bit older. Like he was the dude. If you're like a freshman, he's like the fucking funny. He was the funny senior. He was really funny and fearless. Like he's the guy. He's standing around. He's telling stories, and at no point, whatever the chicks were, whatever the if it was you, if it was dudes from Neglect, no matter who was there, Tommy felt fully at home, making everybody laugh, and that is. Yeah, that's fucking huge. You go see bands from Queens that were tough dudes, and they were talking about Fantasyland, and they were intimidated by the audience. Tommy's talking about real shit from suburbia, and he is not intimidated. And that's magic. And it was the right amount of like the most catchy, unreal, like catchy and like tangible, like tangibly catchy. Like I can hum it, I can understand the lyrics. I feel like I know him. I can do this. Like if it wasn't for Tommy, was really a conduit to kind of stepping into write a bunch of vocals, tell a story. Like he definitely, you did too, definitely. Mindset Overhaul is that for me as well. But yeah, Tommy's a beat. Yeah, Tommy, you guys, you definitely took Suburbia and made it very plausible. Whereas you listen to records, it's like Murphy's Law sounds like it's from another planet, or Best of Times. It's like horns, and then they're from the city, but they're also from this crazy cartoon ska planet where everybody smokes pot, and it's reggae. And,
all right, Jimmy Gestapo. Got to get Jimmy Gestapo. I'm just doing.
Well, no, you do.
I'm on the list.
Have his take on it, because I bet his take doesn't involve a lot of suburban tangibility. It's
and that's the thing. Could Jimmy
know?
Gestapo, who's the best? He can't do an emotional record.
No, different.
You know what I mean? He
different.
is who he is, and that's it. We always try and define like what is hardcore. I always have this conversation.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah, you know it when you see it.
You're hardcore, and so is Jimmy.
That's it.
But also so is Tommy.
Yeah,
And
there's
you guys
no.
are only from within an hour from each other, right? So think of how vast. And then you know, go 4 hours away. Ian MacKay's pretty fucking hardcore. He's a
Yeah.
totally different thing, I
Right.
guess, you know. But yeah, Jimmy, Queens, Reagan, beer.
The best
weed.
front man there is.
Oh my God.
Hands down, from beginning to end, like to this day,
Jimmy,
Jimmy is the best front man.
HR, you, Ray
But-
Capo.
HR is, it's just different. Jimmy is,
He's there.
He's
He's very there. He still is in touch with the viewer. Whereas HR, you're like, this dude's dog dust.
Right. I guess I don't even need to be here technically.
Yeah,
when
he
HR
doesn't need me here.
Yeah.
He
But Jimmy
doesn't
Gestapo.
need me here.
No, it's a comedy show. It's so witty, and it's a whole thing.
America rules. America's not so much you can.
But you know what? The way you describe these things, you've always been that type. Even when you said worship and tribute, when you created worship and tribute, and
We just love stuff.
but you have an eye. You look at things artistically, and I know that you've been doing stuff like producing remixes, all the stuff like you sort of see something, and you talk about mimicry and all these things that
Mimicing's good. That's the best.
yeah.
That's my favorite.
And you're part of a studio now. Like, what's the situation with TJ?
Yeah,
Like,
me and TJ own a studio in Wantagh, Long Island. That's pretty suburban.
oh yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
suburban. Yeah, totally. Soft Noise, and made a bunch of stuff in the last year and a half. Did Keith Buckley sings for Every Time I Die. He wanted to do some Far Out stuff with a buddy of mine, a guy named Josh from San Francisco, and they came in, they did their record. It's fucking definitely very far out, and I'm definitely proud to be a part of it. Walter came in, we did a bunch of stuff, I think, for all the projects I think he has going right now. We mixed some and recorded some for the solo stuff and whatnot. Yeah, it's great. The Walter stuff is great. I am honored as fuck
That's
to sit with
incredible.
Wally. Yeah,
To
definitely.
be able to, because that's a meet your heroes moment.
Yeah,
I'm
oh,
sure
yeah.
for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. We just sit and just talk about music, and when he's happy and impressed, I am honored and impressed. Me and Justin, and I'm sure you and Artie. He's special. He's part of that conduit to things going into a really special place.
Yeah.
A lot of people made a bunch of money in their careers, I'm sure, off of being really inspired by things Wally did when he wasn't even trying. Right.
Is that your focus right now? Is it the studio or is it color film?
It's all of it. Actually, me having a kid, that's what I've been definitely.
Right. Fair
But
enough.
everything's happening kind of around
Wait,
it,
name your
right
kid
now.
Mimic and Revenge. I'm just
No, that's
if
that's
there's a
correct.
list-
No, they're twin. It's two twins,
well,
two
if
boys.
it's
Mimic
if it's a
and
girl
Revenge.
Mimic, if it's a boy Revenge.
Yes.
But anyway.
Girl Mimic. That's
It's not bad.
Yeah,
It's
she's
not
friends.
bad.
She'll be friends with Liv Tyler. Liv and Mimic and.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's all the focus as it happens. Definitely. We finished the Glassjaw record. It's definitely the first full length in 15 years. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely happy to have it finally happen.
right.
Yeah.
And there'll be a block of touring for that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely gonna need to have some shows happen. Yeah, we just did 6 weeks. We opened at the Garden, Cody
know.
Cambria and stuff, and we opened, and that was cool.
And that's the thing. Come on. I don't care if you're a hardcore kid to the bone. You wonder what it's like to play Nassau Coliseum.
Oh,
You
yeah.
wonder what it's like to play Madison
And
Square
I have
Garden,
been
and you played
lucky
both.
enough. Yeah, lucky.
You,
Oh my
you must
God.
have been like, wow.
Yeah. Didn't play Jones Beach. That was where a lot of the big shows were when I was a kid with my dad.
Right. Well,
Jones Beach. But
that's,
hey, there's a chance.
that could be right around the corner. But you know what's funny?
Could open up for Neil Diamond.
When you guys played Nassau Coliseum, I went.
Were you there? Brand
Yeah.
new, right?
And-
Brand new or something?
So I'm with my friend, and I don't know. It's Nassau Coliseum, so I picture you guys coming on lights. I picture all this stuff, which is what you do sort of more
I felt like
after
all
that.
the lights were on. Felt like a hockey
No,
game.
it was like you guys were all facing each other.
We did that.
Manny was back was to the crowd. You walked on kind of like, checking a thing. And I'm looking at my friend. I go, did we interrupt their practice?
It felt like
wh-
that.
and you just played. There wasn't a lot of banter. There wasn't a lot of, I'm like, because you project in your mind what you think you should do at Nassau Coliseum. I was like, it's probably going to be,
and that's typically not what most people might imagine.
Yeah, and it was fantastic.
Like
it was like
Loverboy wasn't.
You just sort of walked up, played, and left with no fanfare. And I know you got it in you because I've seen the shows with all the lights and all that stuff. And this was just like you guys. Every time you start doing something, it's like a mood of where you're at, and it's clear.
I feel like the lights didn't even really get too real at that show, did it?
No, but when we played at Best Buy, like after
that was very good.
So I'm
Those
saying,
lights were
I know
great.
you guys have that where you hit the screens and all
Yeah.
that stuff. That was sort of after all of that.
That's really if we can afford it.
If it's in the cards.
if it's in the cards, then there'll be some
But you know
fucking
what?
lights.
Let Justin Beck handle that. You don't worry about it.
Good call.
But yeah, it's crazy because you said before, you said, I guess I'd be okay if I didn't put out music, if I didn't put out a record. And it's weird because I don't see you like that at all. That's how I feel. I don't feel like a born singer. I feel like a 10,000 hours I got there and whatever. And you just seem like, because you do so many projects, because you do, everything from remixing to even DJing all over the place, that's such a huge part of you. That's true. You'd be okay.
No, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be okay. No, I guess it wouldn't be okay. No, maybe. I don't know. It feels bad saying that. I guess if I'm okay with that, I feel bad being okay.
You know
with
what?
that.
I didn't ask you when you said it because I'm like, give it like a little while. I'm
No,
like,
now,
ask them.
now
Now
I'm
it's
thinking.
not.
Yeah, see? Oh, you're so good, right? You give such good, you have such good chat. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that as I got older, the thing, like I said before, the thing that means the most is getting a technique down or learning something and putting it into action. Like if I can read a bunch of recording techniques on a bunch of old records and then kind of just one day I try it alone and I make it happen, that makes me so happy. Even if, regardless what it is, I feel like those things make me happier than other things. But, and at the same time, I'm a grown-ass man. I need to make money. So,
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to be where I am. I'm not writing it off in any way, but I don't know. I feel like the thing that means the most is just kind of cracking the code on something and feeling really pumped that I figured it out. I mean, maybe. But like I said, I'm really lucky to be where I am, and I do have bills to pay. So I don't know, maybe not.
Right.
I've never done anything else in my life. I'm not, I can't build a house. I don't know how to. I don't paint per se.
So are you saying you've never had another job?
No, I've never done anything that ever made me a penny in my life. It's the only thing I've ever done. I mean, it's the only thing I've ever done.
It's interesting because I have this conversation a lot. Like, I have my own business. So when I talk to other business people,
and
we have
that.
goals.
I'm
right?
so impressed by what you do.
Well, thanks. But hear me out. So they have goals. If you have a business, you say, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. You could talk to a landscaping business or, jewelry, what I do or whatever it is. And there's a thing you go, oh, what's next? And you have that sort of like goal. But I noticed with musicians and artists in particular, they don't have that same thing. It's not like, well, here's my next goal. And I never had it as a musician either. But the other side of my brain that does something completely different from music can do it. When it gets into the artistic stuff, there's not that same like goal-oriented thing, which is really unique to artists who are like, moving and putting out things and doing things that dip into commerce in some way. Do you have a goal? Like, what is your goal with music?
I think when I was younger, I felt like there was a goal, which was to keep making music. But now I don't have a goal. I just take it as it comes. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, it's
Maybe
sometimes
I'm
that's
lucky
what
to
art
be
is.
Afforded that. I don't know. If
Just a
if
comfortable.
it stops. I don't know.
It is what it is. Where
Yeah.
I think when you're younger, when you're playing bands, you always feel like you're behind. You feel like you should be
of
doing
course.
more. That band toured for 4 months. We only did 3. that band got this, we only got this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we got to be writing that record.
And you're also willing to put in infinite amount of like sweat,
Anything it takes.
like hours, you know, yeah, whatever it takes. Like, I feel like me and Justin were away for a year and a half at a time or something. I feel like we never went home.
Right.
It was like just sleeping in an RV with Earth Crisis, or like you just didn't go home because
Right.
that's what you do, and there's no way to make it if you don't.
Right.
But in reality, the moments that probably really helped Justin and I get to a good point, those moments didn't involve being away for 2 years.
Yeah.
Those moments were just like really good moments.
Right.
Really lucky, rad moments, or really good moments where someone heard us and thought that what we did was weird. I don't think it was the staying on the road playing in front of two people, you know, playing like these crazy just like being in the snow and skidding through a year and a half.
You hit a wall with it. There was like a amazing thing of touring, and you could probably talk about that forever. But there is a wall you hit, and there is a
Well, you were one of the first guys that went away for good.
returns.
You were one of the first ones that went away for good forever. Like you went away and didn't come
Yeah,
back.
I mean, in my bands, we did play a lot out of state, and
I know.
yeah, it does get you better. It does get you hungry for more, but you do hit a moment where you go, it's just diminishing returns. I'm more worried about my financial life or
Yeah.
all the birthdays I missed,
Oh, I
or that
missed a
no one,
lot.
you know, you
Oh,
get to a
I
point
missed
your
so
family
many
doesn't even
years.
call
I
you
feel like I
anymore for
missed
anything.
so much. You miss so much. Oh my God, you miss things that you can't get back.
And you have
can
experiences
never get
that no one could even possibly understand.
I know, and you can't trade those for
Right.
you can't. Yeah, I wouldn't trade that away. I mean, I think a lot of the things that make me is unimpressed. I value my unimpressedness.
Yeah.
whatever that the state of that being that is. I that's what defines me, is that it's nothing. I'm unswayable. I'm very stubborn. And I think I've seen a lot, and I think that it came from that thing of being
Right.
out and feeling like you're just running around and kind of just fending for yourself and hiding in touring. That's definitely real.
Yep.
You know, you do that. Yeah.
Getting a few minutes alone,
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
hiding from expectations or whatever it is, and just, you know, it does feel like a young man's game. I kind of hate that phrase.
It is a young man's game.
because it's like, you know,
It is a young man's game.
it kind of like gives you a lazy out. Like, oh, it's a young man's game, but let's face it, you know, there's a financial thing or
You require different things at
Yeah.
our age, you know? You really do. We require different things.
yeah,
You require a bigger long-term plan. A lot of every step you make is you're looking 10 steps in the future, where hiding behind touring for like years was like living hour to hour.
right,
Where now I think at this point I'm definitely not living like that. I'm living longer. The strokes are way bigger.
right.
Big strokes.
And it's funny because I look at the music that you do and all the music that you've done and everything from remix and DJing, studio time to all this stuff. It's no question sort of like a Renaissance man with all this stuff. But is there something you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Not make music, maybe, and just feel like there's something else as my God, maybe for a minute. But I don't know. Musically,
Like it
there's
could be
so many
acting,
things.
painting.
No,
You know, in an artistic
different
world.
types of music. I'm really lucky. I have a couple of musical soulmates, you know, and there's like 3 of them, and I'm really lucky to have them in my life, and I feel like it's limitless. So I can always achieve, I can always achieve something sonically or aesthetically, thematically. I can always make a record. I can do that. It's easy, and there's tons of types of things musically I'd love to do.
Yeah.
Definitely. Me and Justin have so much more stuff. I'm sure we do, and me and my buddy Richard, who does color film, TJ's brother.
Yeah.
It's limitless. We just have so many ideas.
Oh, so it's Rich is in color film. TJ is the studio thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Richard Penzone and me do color film, and he's played with his brother a lot. They did Men, Women, and Children.
Yeah.
And and TJ and I have the studio. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
there
I'm lucky to
any-
know all. I mean, I'm lucky to know all these dudes. Like these, I'm very lucky. My closest friends are so gifted.
Right.
You know, that I feel like musically, there's so many things I would love to do. I guess, and all in due time. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It is an interesting thing. Like, you said your friends are gifted. And I even just when I started to decide to do a podcast, I just do like a lazy scroll through my Facebook friends, and I'm like, well, that guy does this. Not even saying musically. That's kind of the easy point to hit. But just what people do, we've been around interesting people our whole lives. And when you're younger,
And that's a gift.
yeah.
We could be
this
from
guy
somewhere where
does this,
nobody
this guy
around us does
bodybuilding, this guy-
anything.
Yeah, and I do, and then you see like their whole world, and you go, wow,
Oh yeah.
lucky to be around talented people.
Yeah,
Gifted
the
people.
dudes that play in Glassjaw right now with Justin and I are so gifted. Like I feel lucky to know them. They're young and so optimistic and so gifted. I'm always. Yeah, I mean, I'm just overwhelmed by. I get so blown away by talent. So I just really do. I do, and if I see that, I'm just totally floored by it, and I'm inspired by people we play with. They're younger guys, and I'm just so blown away at how amazing they are. I think it inspires Justin too. That's full throttle. I mean, I play with my buddy Richard, who I play in color film with. He's such an animal that there's just like anything you can. Anything we could possibly imagine, we could make happen.
Right.
I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Yeah, I don't ever mean to marginalize music in my life.
Right.
If I had
I knew
to
if I
not,
waited, we were going to come.
no,
to this
I mean
point.
if I had to not make music, I mean whatever. I would deal with. I'll deal with whatever life throws me. But I'm definitely lucky to. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Justin still loves intense shit so much, because if it was up to me, it would probably be a lot, zanier, far out,
Right.
Different. But I'm lucky. He's Justin's a beast, and so I'm lucky in definitely in every department. So I don't mean to marginalize music, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think you got it in you to not ever do it, to stop.
You don't think I
Yeah.
could work at a hardware store?
I'm not saying you couldn't work at a hardware store, but that would be one hell of a Christmas party. Because guess who'd be up there karaokeing?
Oh,
You.
oh yeah, with only me.
Only you.
I could work at a sushi spot.
There's no limit to what you can do. I'm going to give you some fatherly advice, Daryl, whatever you put your mind
And
to.
you've given me a lot of it in my
No, fuck
life,
that.
and
You're gonna see
it
that.
all was very important to me, obviously.
But I think we're at a good place. I think we've come full circle, right?
Yeah,
With this?
I kind of, yeah. I
Music
think
and
so.
revenge.
You just sang on a record I was making this year with Justin. I would say we all came full circle in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Maybe one day we'll get to hear that record. You take your time.
Sooner than later, I promise.
Yeah. All right, dude. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, my friend.
It's great to catch up.
Thank you.
And let's do it again maybe when the record comes out.
Oh yeah, you have to do it with Justin.
Oh, I will get back.
Yes,
I
you
will
have
get
to have
Tommy
back.
Corrigan.
Yes, you have
I
back.
will get Walter from Quicksand. I got to listen to this again. There's a list that's growing.
You have to.
I will. All right, man. Thanks.
Peace.
If I ruled the world.